The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everyone. I want to thank you for joining us today for our Large Venue Solutions webinar. A couple notes. This webinar is being recorded and will be available 1 to 2 days after its conclusion for you or others that couldn't make it to review it. So look for a link to that. Also, questions. We will be taking questions at the end. We'll get through as many as we can. Please enter your questions in the questions box in the lower right of your control panel. My name is Dave Howden. I'm Technical Services Manager of the Large Venue Group. We provide applications and design support from here in our Chester, Pennsylvania base. So Community Loudspeakers, also known as the Large Venue Group, we're known as being the world leader in solutions for indoor-outdoor sound reinforcement. Many of the innovations that others have followed along with, we were certainly, the first in providing, truly outdoor weather-resistant speaker systems. Our primary focus is on medium to large size venues, but we have products that can address, roughly 95% of the venues out there today for permanent installed sound. Community loudspeakers, been around for 52 years. We have a very strong heritage and a lot of trust amongst our partners worldwide. Part of that's due to just our honest, accurate acoustical data. What you see is what you get, whether you're looking at our cut sheets or if you're using our acoustical modeling data in 3D modeling programs. We've always been very speech intelligibility focused here. If you can't get the voice right, who cares about the highs and the lows? So always been, number one with us, low distortion, high directivity, intelligibility focused products. We have a lot of technically innovative products. A lot of this is due to our ability to, design our own drivers and manufacture them rather than having to just pick what's on the shelf like many other manufacturers do. And we design products, for real reason to address a need or an application. And also, we're very well known for providing outstanding customer service, like all groups across Biamp are. We serve a wide range of venues, whether your venue is a sporting venue, auditoriums, recreational spaces, worship spaces, performance venues, for fixed installation. We serve all of these markets extremely well and excel at providing extraordinary audio experiences within these spaces. Jumping right into our solutions here, as I mentioned, we're the world leader in sports sound, whether it's outdoor stadiums, gymnasiums, event centers. Our series was really the original game changer in versatile, durable, full-range outdoor systems with unmatched voice clarity. The R series was introduced about 20 years ago at this point and continues on today to solve the needs of these many types of venues. The W series is a favorite of the themed entertainment and cruise industry for its high fidelity and extremely robust design. In our I series WR systems, extremely high performance meets elegant design, and we have an extremely wide range of full range systems and subwoofer systems to allow you to address any outdoor environment, no matter how harsh. The R series includes 35 models. If you include all the different horn patterns that are available, it really is the world standard for exceptional audio performance in extreme weather conditions and environments. Also, we have the largest number of horn-loaded speaker systems available in the industry. And these R series systems also really lend themselves to indoor uses in highly reverberant spaces where intelligibility can be challenging, and a front-loaded system just isn't going to get it done. We've got a lot of solutions. Whether you're doing an expo center, a warehouse, some sort of a sports venue. We have a solution to really help you get the intelligibility required in these tough environments where perhaps acoustical treatment isn't a consideration, or it got VE'd out of the budget early on. It's also worth noting for those countries that recognize EN 5424 that we have a wide range of R models, including the R1 series, the R2Z series, and even our largest R651 systems. And a compact, our R.353896, are all EN 5424 certified, and can match up very well with Vocia systems where applications require emergency announcements or management. So the R series, we have a few different levels of systems. We have our premium music solutions, which provide an even higher level of musical fidelity, low frequency, mid-range, high frequency, all matching up to provide that broadband audio experience people desire. And our original R series, our Z series, our smaller R25s, older R5s, R1s, and R2s certainly excel at voice clarity, also have very good musical reproduction. And there's many lookalikes out there these days, but there's only one original R series that comes with a 15-year structural warranty on all the products. Very few companies today, produce purely voice reproduction horns, but our voice projection solutions encompasses 3 different series. Our RMG with a single mid-range driver, our R5 V2200 with dual M200 mid-range drivers, and our RSH 462 with 4 mid-range drivers covering the 500 hertz to 4 kilohertz region for voice projection applications, especially for long throw voice projection applications, given their extremely high sensitivity. There's really no equal in the pro audio business for long throw voice reproduction and consistent operation in the most extreme environments. Also in the R series, we have some very large format subwoofers, all fiberglass enclosures also, or our R6 bass horn and our bass horn max for when you want to change a barometric pressure a little bit within a space and add that visceral feel to make events even more exciting. So the R series range, goes from the largest of the R6 systems, which stand 3+ feet tall when stood up on end, down to our R.15. The R.15 pictured in the middle of the screen, the face is only about 9 inches by 10 inches for that 6-inch coaxial system. The R.5 on the right-hand side, we put a lot of different technologies within that same looking cabinet, but that 16-inch square face on those, very popular, and got a whole lot of options within a single cabinet design. And then there's the R2 on the left side, which really started it all. About a 25-inch square face, 3-way system, and really the standard, especially on sports fields, around the Americas and globally. We have a very convenient and easy to use how far does it go chart that can be found on our website, or how it can be found in our sports applications guide that's also downloadable from our website, giving you kind of a base where how far can you achieve 96 dB if you run it per the low impedance spec power specs on the listed on the cut sheets, for these systems. So it's a very handy go-to when helping qualify, which product might be appropriate for your particular application. Our series can be found in a wide variety of places, showing a racetrack example here that used 27 of our R5 Max speakers on the leading edge of the canopy. Also, it's augmented with some R5 HPs and R15s, providing additional fill and field coverage. But our series is commonly applied in stadiums, smaller arenas, as I mentioned, athletic facilities. Racetracks is really a strong suit, from the smallest midget tracks, up the road from you, to the largest F1 and NASCAR tracks. They're used extensively in themed entertainment environments. Fairgrounds for wide area paging, enunciation, background music, just about any kind of outdoor entertainment center. We'll use our series at outdoor swimming pools or indoor pools. They will survive that chlorine air environment due to their robust construction. Factories have a lot of uses for our series in factories, especially due to their horn loading, providing much higher sound pressure level capability and better pattern control than your standard stick on the wall small reentrant horns. So a lot of different uses for the R series, well beyond just outdoor applications. Our W series is our most durable point source system available, for extreme environments. These systems are a favorite of the cruise industry, cruise ship ready. There's really not a nastier environment than being out at sea, but there's just tons of ships that use these in a distributed fashion. Very high fidelity systems. There's 3 different models. We're showing the 218 here, a single 8-inch, and community zone designed and manufactured 1-inch exit HF. Black and white are standard colors for these, but we can custom color them to an RAL. We have our trademarked, weather stop grills to keep the moisture out of these, even sideways rain. A product we'll highlight briefly here is the W2-228. It was really the W2 series that started it all. A major theme park was tired of replacing their distributed audio system speakers every 4 or 5 years. They gave it to us, say, hey, what can you make that'll last a long time? And we came up with the W2-228, which is a quasi 3-way system. And all the W2s are available with either low impedance 70 or 100 volt operation, and they all use a SJO cord entering a Liquitite connector in the back. In the same size cabinet also, we have a system called our W2-2W8, which is an extremely low profile dual 8-inch 120 by 60 speaker, which is a big favorite of the consultants for using as under balcony systems or anywhere where you need wide coverage in an outdoor environment primarily, and your projection distances are, say, up to 40 or 50 feet. But remember the 2W8, it's a very, very good wide dispersion product. Applications, and that can be a main PA for a smaller venue or distributed as they most commonly are. Many theme parks have these all over their, poles or themed into the sides of buildings and such due to their very high fidelity. Water parks, outdoor entertainment centers, as I mentioned, the cruise industry, your fountain shows. They can be used, as I mentioned, they can be used as the primary system or as a fill system. Shown here is just another installation that used the W2-228s to cover the larger areas, and also includes a number of our ceiling speakers from the D series and surface mounts to distribute even audio and a consistent listening experience through the whole facility. Our I-Series weather-resistant systems, these are also available indoors, but it's really the new standard for outdoor sound. We've been producing these for a few years now, and they are just becoming incredibly popular. The enclosures, unlike hand-laminated fiberglass, which takes a very long time and process to do, the polyglass cabinets in the I-Series are a family of premium point source systems that are available, as said, in wood for indoor or polyglass for outdoor. The range includes from a 6-inch two-way with a soft dome tweeter up to a large 15-inch three-way biamp system, and even a line array system, and of course a wide range of subwoofer systems. And these are essentially designed to be cruise ship ready also, which is really saying something. Again, the ingress into these systems is a gland nut in the back, sealed up from the elements. Polyglass, it's shipped to us. It basically comes kind of like wood, wood sheets do, and we can cut it and machine it just like wood. It still gets glued and screwed together. They're extremely lightweight. They're 20 or 25% lighter cabinet-wise than the wooden cabinets. They will not crack, especially the corners, like many people's fiberglass covered wood cabinets will. And they're just extreme survivability, high impact resistance. I got that cable ingress in the back with a very well, sealed up cover, like a single gang electrical box on the back of them. Stainless steel yokes are available for all of the I-Series WR systems. They have the same acoustic performance and physical dimensions as the indoor cabinets, same components. And due to us using the polyglass and not doing the hand-laminated fiberglass, for this system, they have the same lead time from order as the indoor versions do, and they're all made in our plant here in Chester, Pennsylvania. Couple of outdoor application examples that I can point out here. On the upper left, it's it's just a small entertainment venue right oceanside here in Delaware. Got some more further up the coast in New Jersey. In the lower left, we have an outdoor performance venue using the IV6, part of the I-Series line array systems, mounted in a local park for their entertainment venue, projecting about 100 feet up this hillside. So don't be scared to put these systems, outdoors in the worst of conditions. They can stay there all year, whether it's oceanside or inland. You can trust the performance and reliability and fidelity of these systems for many years. Moving on to our distributed reinforcement systems, our D-Series. I want to point out they have their true compression driver based ceiling speaker systems, which provide excellent voice band pattern consistency and extremely low distortion output. They are a high performance system. They're high fidelity, and they are able to achieve extremely high outputs. Now, that's not something that you need every day in low ceiling environments, but when the ceilings start getting higher, in ballrooms, places like that, you'll certainly appreciate the higher power handling and the wide range of sizes. We have 7 in-ceiling models, including a low profile 4-inch, as well as a 10-inch subwoofer system. Also in the series, 2 surface mounts, 2 pendants also. They're quick and easy to install, as these systems need to be. Obviously, you could do low impedance or constant voltage operation. And we really concentrated on making these systems perform extremely well, especially through the crossover point between LF and HF to aid in achieving high speech intelligibility, which is really our goal with these systems. So 7 full range models, a 4-inch low profile back can, to a 10-inch full range in the subwoofer, zinc plated steel enclosures, powder coated steel grills, and very high broadband sensitivity. Our sensitivity for our ceiling speakers is generally 3 to 5 dB higher than competitors. And that's not measuring just where the highest peak is in the frequency response. That's actually across the entire stated operating range of the systems which we derive our sensitivity from, unlike other manufacturers. The D4 and D8 are real favorites of mine. The D4 system, shoot it out against anybody's 4-inch, whether it's voice or music, at low levels or high levels, you're going to win that demo every time. And the 8-inch, well, large for some applications, out of the box, again, just one of my favorites, sound quality wise, and just the total package. I really love the 8 inches in the D series when they're applicable. So these coaxial ceiling systems, again, they're all of our components, designed by us, manufactured by us. As the driver size increases, so does the size of the compression driver. You can see the D4s have the smaller 3/4 inch exit compression driver, tap up to 30 watts at 100 volts. We move up to the D5 and 6, we move up to a 1-inch exit compression driver. This really helps with the voice, voice clarity as we move up in size, and also helps us match our beam width through the all-important crossover range. When you get up to the D8 and D10, you've got a 1¼ inch exit compression driver. You can see the powers go up commensurately. I often find myself using the D8s and 10s in those higher ceiling, those 16 to maybe up to 20-foot ceiling environments, since a larger diameter system has a narrower dispersion to it. We also have a subwoofer in the series also, which has recently become extremely popular, once again, just for augmenting the full range sound and extending those bottom couple octaves a little bit, just for a more subjectively great sounding system. Our systems use all steel captive mounting dogs, no plastic dogs on the side, and have an extremely wide grip range. For those thick ceilings, or those wooden slatted ceilings that are really deep, we can grip up to about 3¼ inches, which is more than most of our competitors can say. If you look at the image in the bottom center, highlighting the yellow drop stop spring-loaded support legs, those are there to assist the installer. Once your rails and C-ring are in the ceiling, an installer can take the speaker and push it up through the ceiling speaker opening, and these drop stop legs, pop out and will rest on the C-ring, freeing the installer to grab a screw gun or whatever, and not having to balance up on a lift, trying to hold a speaker in and grab the screw gun. So it leads to a safer working environment also. It's also notable that the inputs of these are, of course, Phoenix, like you would expect, but our D series ceiling speakers and our C series, which we'll talk about soon, the paralleling of the circuit, many manufacturers do it inside the box or inside the back can for the pass-through. We actually do the paralleling outside on the Phoenix connector. So should a speaker come disconnected in a circuit, you don't lose everything falling, down the line. The rest of the circuit will still continue to operate. So one of those little value-added things. Also, our D series and C series speakers do carry UL 1480 and 2043 for those air handling spaces and places that require those sorts of certifications. We also have a couple of surface mount models in the D series systems, the DS5 and the DS8. To maintain very consistent voicing across the line, it's the same driver and same crossover as used in the D5 and the D8 ceiling speakers. Features that as you would expect are listed below, but they have a very clean design, consistent family voicing. The DS5 and 8 can be used outdoors in covered applications. Don't just put them up on a pole, put them under an eave or something like that. They have powder-coated aluminum grills and a ball mounting system which conceals the wiring. It enters through the back of it and very cleanly makes it to a Phoenix connector on the back of the cabinet, just for a much cleaner look. We of course have a couple of coaxial pendant systems also. We have our 6.5-inch and 8-inch. As you could probably guess by now, our 6-inch pendant will use the same coax driver as a D6. And then the 8 uses the same as the D8. Again, getting that consistent voicing across a venue, no matter what sort of form factor system you may need. Pendants, as we all know, are great for open ceiling applications like retail spaces, bars, common areas. But again, it's important to understand, across the whole D series, we get the same sound signature as the ceiling speakers and the surface mount speakers, making it a whole lot easier for the commissioners at the end of the day to get a nice, consistent sounding facility. Applications are, as you can imagine, for in ceiling and surface mount and pendant style speakers. Our V series, which we'll talk about soon, D series speakers are used for performance audio and in the guest rooms of the Grand Park Hotel shown here on the side, and it's also processed by Tessera server with I/O with AVB digital network server driving the entire system. Okay, let's move to our primarily indoor sound reinforcement models at this point. We have our E series of columnar format loudspeaker systems. We have our full range musical reproduction systems also in the cost-effective V series and the no holds barred I series systems. So let's touch on E series systems. Like say performance made to be heard, not seen. With their cylindrical or oval design, they're very architecturally pleasing. The Entasis FR systems offer, premium performance and high intelligibility in challenging reverberant spaces. If you have favorable mounting heights for these columnar style speakers, say no more than 2.5 meters or maybe up to 7-8 feet off the floor, these systems can compete and provide the same or similar results with steered column arrays where you need a single beam at a fraction of the cost of those systems. To our knowledge, the Entasis FR system is still the only 3-way passive modular column line source on the market. These can be stacked and arrayed, single amp channel. The signal feeds through the columns from one to the next when you do stack them up. Each element's 12 ohms, so easy to drive from from a single amplifier and DSP channel. The 2-way Entasis 200 series, more affordable solution, but 2-way. So we've really got a leg up on, there's so many 1-way columns out there, depending on, if you're running into the the phone systems, the Rankin systems, some of the other competitors that just do one-way single small woofers, these have much more consistent pattern control and much higher intelligibility scores than those systems do in most environments. Again, they're an architectural alternative to maybe a square or rectangular point source box, and they should be treated as a point source when using them. But be aware that they do have narrowing like most columns do. In the high frequencies especially, so pay attention to that when you're designing with them. There's 4 different models, which essentially gives you 4 different output levels, and obviously low frequency increases with column size also. Excellent for playback, AV playback, speech reinforcement, or light musical reinforcement. The Ensys FR series has the ability to provide very highly intelligible reproduction in extremely challenging acoustical environments. They're powder-coated aluminum extrusion cabinets, if you will. The full range column, which has 6 woofers and all the mid-range sections that we're going to talk about in a moment in it, is great for standalone voice reinforcement for friendlier acoustical environments. And we have an LF column, which just increases the length of the array and the pattern control. It doesn't get us to a lower bottom frequency, but it's there to optimize our vertical coverage, perhaps compress those lower frequencies that tend to hang around a lot longer inside these large cavernous spaces. They can be configured to order. We can give you a custom RAL. We'll talk about straight and curved arrays soon, but they're fantastic performers. With 2 full range systems, powered per the spec sheet, I can achieve in the low 90s at 100 feet in a venue, and generally do it with about plus or minus 2 dB through the voice band from first seat to last seat with a double tall stack. 200 hertz lower limit on them. You can add paper if you need to for lower frequency extension, but even a single element can be used successfully in a friendlier acoustical environment where you just have a medium throw. A little closer look at what's under the hood of the Ensys FR. We have coherent HF coupling past 16 kilohertz due to our compact ribbon emulators, which you see lined up next to the mid-ranges. Each full range element has 6 3.5-inch neodymium Mylar-based woofers in it, 18 mid-range Mylar cone transducers, and the equivalent of 42 1-inch high-frequency drivers in our compact ribbon emulator, which runs top to bottom of the full range cabinets. A very solid 120-degree horizontal dispersion. And we can configure the vertical coverage pattern based on curving these elements, since there are 6 individual elements within the full range system. And as I mentioned previously, each element is a 12 ohm nominal impedance, so paralleling them together, you get 6 ohm load to drive with 2 elements, or a happy 4 ohm load if you need 3 elements for your particular application. But I was mentioning about curved and straight systems. The Ensys FR systems, out of the box, they're going to have that curve to them, and when you look at it at about 40 feet away, it's a 12-degree vertical coverage in the voice band. Whereas through moving physical standoffs, we can straighten those mid-high sections out also, which is something that's really important to do if you're stacking full range elements. You always want a straight, a straight element to meet a straight element. So we can do that at the factory for a very low upcharge, or all the parts are included in every Ensys FR for you to do it yourself should you need to. But basically, when stacking these, if you're stacking straights because that's what Ease Focus told you to do or Ease told you to do, make sure, it's a lot easier if you just order them that way. Low frequency elements can of course be stacked on top of straight or curves since they're only addressing the LF range. A quick example of what adding a single low frequency element can do on the top. We're looking at 500 hertz band here. We could see that 500 hertz, it's pretty wide with a single element in the top image, but just adding a single LF element, you can see how it narrows up the energy, just like you expect a line array system to, and provides much more energy to the back of the space, where you see all green to the back of the listening plane as opposed to on top where you still have a lot of blue. They're great for any highly reverberant space and also for low ceiling applications where flying speakers might not be a good option. You can add subwoofers for performance systems, but again, understand, the Entasis FR isn't made to be that 105 dB at 100 foot, type of columnar array system. If you need to add paper, look at the V series or the I series subwoofers. Another wonderful feature, since it truly is a line array, they provide very good feedback immunity due to their very narrow pattern. And I dare say that you could even use microphones, in front of these systems due to their line array characteristics, and still have a wonderful feedback stability margin to work with. The Entasis 200 series, two-way systems, full range columns, they do have more low frequency extension than the Entasis FRs. The Entasis FRs go down to about 200 hertz, whereas the Entasis 200s, depending on the size of it, has another octave of low frequency extension. They're a quick install. They still make use of our CRE, compact ribbon emulator technology, with centrally mounted high frequency sections, but not top to bottom like the Entasis FR. You can run them low impedance or you can run them on a constant voltage system through selectable screw terminals on the bottom. The mounting bracket is included with them, as opposed to the Entasis, where pan tilt brackets and such are an accessory. You can use these indoors, which is their primary application, or if you're at least 15, 20 miles from the ocean, you could put them outdoors. They do have aluminum grills on them that are marine grade, and they are PVC paintable plastic enclosures available in standard black and white. The naming convention comes from the number of woofers in them. The Entasis 220, 20 low frequency speakers. The system's better than 6 feet tall, provides very good pattern control, especially in the upper voice band where it narrows up to about 15 degrees vertical. So be careful of the mounting height that we're putting energy, onto the listening plane. Similarly, the Entasis 212, has about the same pattern control through the voice band as the 220, a little bit shorter, in a 3 foot long column. The 206, about half the size again, 6 LFs. We get a little bit wider vertical high frequency coverage since there's just 2 of our CREs in that system. And then the Entasis 203, our smallest 3-woofer system with a wider vertical. I find these systems useful in a wide range of environments, but really it comes down to their replacement, maybe a more aesthetically appealing system to a common square rectangular point source system. And they're also great at complementing the Entasis FR systems if you happen to need a fill speaker here or there. Another one of our how far does it go charts. This one can be found, I think, in our presentation and performance guide. These systems are really aimed at worship spaces for aesthetics, performance, and other mildly reverberant spaces, or more highly reverberant spaces. Think your transportation hubs, your train stations, your airports, your concourses of sports venues, museums. There's a lot of different places where the added pattern control of these systems compared to, say, a coaxial speaker with very wide dispersion will really help you, gain, a higher intelligibility score when deployed appropriately. The E-Series generally finds itself in the applications, listed to the left, your auditoriums. I'll use the E-Series in gyms, especially those gyms that might have a stage at one end in your common middle schools, and you need to project 70, 80 feet in generally untreated acoustical environment. Great for those places. The aesthetics, lend themselves to museums, convention spaces, meeting spaces, large all-hands areas, and these large open areas that we see in a lot of corporate environments. Entasis FRs, can easily, blend in aesthetically and work extremely, extremely well. We've had great success in transportation hubs of the Entasis FRs also, due to their ability to achieve high intelligibility without having to get into a fully active steered column array system. I use them in concourses and stadiums. Again, far better in those nasty environments than a 6 or 8 inch coaxial speaker, the added directivity. And they're also popular for, on the sides of video displays, like, in your corporate lobbies or your malls, or anywhere where you've got, medium to large display surfaces that you want to attract attention to and engage people with the content on that. They fit in really great to those environments also. But the Entasis FRs, really excel in acoustically challenging spaces like this. Very tough to spot the speakers. There's a few arrays of Entasis FRs. I'll show you where they are in here. Mounted very discreetly to the beams, down tilted, probably 3 to 5 degrees, so we don't bounce sound off the back of the room, using the accessory pan tilt bracket for these systems. So that's one of the many applications for the Entasis FR systems. And this room, might not be one that I'd use the Entasis 200s in. I'd probably prefer the FRs, unless I was distributing them on every column and maybe somebody only wanted shorter columns. But feel free to lean on the LVG applications group. V-Series, the V-Series systems are, cost-effective models. We have 4 compact models, 4 large format models, and 4 subwoofer models. Everyday systems, point and shoot. Each of the full range models uses the same high frequency driver, and we also have 4 subwoofer models available in them, and a couple of 70 volt models that can be used also. An extension of the V-Series is also a couple of compact subwoofers, our VLF208 LV and our slot-loaded VLF208, very compact subwoofer system. We also have a couple of monitors, our MX8 and 10, which are based on our coaxial ceiling speaker systems. Great for conference monitors, small stage shows, school auditoriums. V-Series applications range, theaters, auditoria, just all your everyday applications. In this application here, just a couple compact V228s being used, and some other distributed V-Series. Our I-Series is our premium performance series of systems, no holds barred, cover a wide range of venues, very discreet styling, and the most extensive bracket rigging options off the shelf in the industry. We have 5 compact models that'll operate in portrait landscape mounting with 70 volt autoformers available in them, 27 point source point source models, 12 different subwoofers, and our IV6 modular vertical array, and there's indoor-outdoor versions available for all of them. Our medium power systems, we have 6 different horn patterns available for our 12 and 15-inch two-way systems that are all rotatable, and we have a dozen different subwoofer combinations from a single 12 through a double 18 within this series. We also have our high power systems, which the big differentiator, especially if you're running systems above, say, the 50%, higher than the 50% power rating of the systems, you really start to hear the difference in the point source 800 systems, where the speakers are far from people or it's just high level output. You know where that extra 20% of dollars went, when you start operating systems at higher levels, and the point source 800 and subwoofer 800s won't let you down in even the most demanding environments. In the I-Series, we also have our modular vertical array systems. It can be used as a constant curvature array, a standard line array using all 5-degree elements, or a hybrid array using combinations of our 5-degree vertical and 15-degree vertical elements. At its price point, it competes with all the competitors' line arrays and constant curvature systems. They'll adapt to a wide range of venue sizes. We, of course, have the outdoor systems available, as I showed earlier. But one of the really main things about the IV6 is the cost effectiveness of the system. Oftentimes, a single amp, single DSP channel can run an entire 6-element array. This is something most of the competitors can't claim, and they certainly don't do it nearly as well as us with the amount of engineering we put into the waveguides on these systems. Take a look at them in Focus 3 when you get a chance. There's 2 vertical dispersions, both are 120 degrees horizontal, but you got 5-degree and 15-degree vertical elements, and a subwoofer that can go in the array, behind the array, or on the ground. Quick overview of the basic specifications. They are a 16 ohm nominal impedance, so we can parallel a number of them together. But we have our operating modes, our passive acoustic optimization filters, which allows us to use the predicted attenuation values for full range boxes and the high frequency sections from Ease Focus 3 to shape the vertical beam width of these systems passively, as opposed to an amplifier per element like many of our competitors need. They can be the main PA for small to medium sized venues. You see the list there. Anywhere that an array solution is appropriate. I'd say if you don't need more than a minimum of 3 elements to make an array, really. If you need fewer than that, I'll probably try and point you to a point source. But we can build these arrays 10, 12, 14 elements deep if need be, depending on the application, whether it's indoors or outdoors. They will not let you down. Example of some I-Series indoor applications here using point source 600 series systems and subwoofers. To power all this stuff, we have our branded amplified loudspeaker controllers, very defined processing, optimized power, and system management for consistent, repeatable performance. For the system deployments, you got the right power, we've got the right FIR settings, we've done all the work already, we've got health monitoring of the loudspeaker signal chain, and the ALCs are really an extension of the loudspeaker. The system routing can be done in, say, a Tessera system to take care of the different zoning needs, and then the ALC plus the loudspeakers are treated as a single endpoint. Smaller applications with signal processing, coming direct, if you want to just feed the system directly out of a small mixer, absolutely. Just go right into the Dante or analog inputs on the DSP without anything else in between for smaller applications. We have 3 different power levels of ALC power, 4 times 400 watts, whether it's low impedance or high impedance. They integrate seamlessly into Dante systems. We also have, to the ALC 400 similar power levels, to the Tessera 1201, 1202 systems. So if for lower output applications using the smaller R's, I's, V's, and E's, the XELs to create, a complete, AVB ecosystem can be a very, very good choice when lower power levels are all that's needed. Large venues require more power, though, on the other hand. When you need even more higher power density, we have 2 larger amplifiers, 1600 watts a channel and 3200 watts a channel. Extremely efficient, reliable amplifier systems. Comparable output power comparison here, where the XEL 1200 ones and twos comparable to the 404, but then we also have the higher power density ALC 1604 and 3202Ds also to choose from. So very large venue requirements. These are fun to do, not necessarily everyday projects, but we have the products, to do this. I mean, we need high enough output to fill a stadium, whether it's indoors or outdoors. The goal is always to provide a consistent experience for all seats through dispersion control, low distortion, and smooth frequency response. And no loudspeaker on the market today really offers everything. We want high output, dispersion control, pattern control, horizontally and vertically, low distortion, smooth frequency response. Typical competitors' designs, coaxial will give you dispersion control and smooth response after a lot of processing. But there's some trade-offs. A single driver can't, produce high output or guarantee, and you're guaranteed to have high distortion at high volumes to those systems. Other designs, horn over horn gives you high output, but you're losing out on many of the others and things that we need also. You can coaxially and mount drivers in front. Okay, high output, smooth response, but dispersion control and low distortion are still lacking in what is the most common design in the marketplace. But the mid-range is obstructed, adds distortion to the system, and the coverage patterns change quite a bit, especially near crossover. Competitors have limitations, but I don't want to compromise. So what's the solution? Introducing the Community LVH 900, which many of you have seen around. It's been out there at the trade shows. We are the industry's first beamforming venue horn, the first venue loudspeaker with no trade-offs, honestly. We hit all the boxes, check everything, unlike the competitors. We can achieve high enough SPL to fill a stadium arena with 105 dB broadband pink noise at 100 feet. This provides a very consistent listening experience to everybody. We can reduce the drive level to individual components and still retain the inherent low distortion and smoothness of response. We have many patents pending on our collinear manifold that combines the mid and high drivers into a coherent wavefront. We also have multiple drivers to allow precise directivity shaping over a wide bandwidth and share that power output across drivers rather than stressing individual drivers to do everything. It's a new product category, large scale, and they're applicable for the most challenging venues, even on the acoustical side. We have 4 1.5-inch voice coil high frequency drivers, 3 2-inch exit community M200 compression mid-range drivers, and 4 12-inch 3-inch voice coil low frequency drivers in this sealed enclosure. We have a as I mentioned, our patent pending collinear manifold, which seamlessly integrates mid and highs. There's a lot of technology and a lot of patents in this thing. It's not just slamming a bunch of energy into a waveguide. We have a large waveguide also that provides us pattern control down to 400 hertz also, and we can provide extremely high output. 1 watt, 1 meter, 60 to 18K, 136 dB, and we can vary the vertical dispersion of these systems electronically by manipulating the signal to the mid-high drivers. There's 2 horizontal patterns available in the series, a 60-degree or a 90-degree. And through software, we can configure the vertical patterns of the systems. We can provide, get a wide bandwidth control at 60 degrees or 40 degrees vertical, and really get a nice tight, 20-degree vertical pattern, especially in the voice band, out of the same skew. Other competitors have many more skews, but we've, aimed to provide as few as possible just to make it easy for you and the installers. And our long throw dual cabinet design with a 20-degree vertical, if you need to reach really far, will give you 5 dB more output than the competitors if you stack up 2 of our systems and you need to shoot to the end of a stadium. Very discreet styling, very slick look, shared industrial language. Consultants want a loudspeaker system that looks nice, it's easy to assemble, as most modern line arrays, but typical competitive point sources are less expensive, can usually beat intelligibility scores, but they look terrible. Size comparison, quick one here with the Biamp TV, but it's a big mouth, it's horn loaded. So we can use more than one speaker in an array. Typical competitors have, issues, with dispersion, as we discussed previously. With the with the overlap, from most competitors, you get poor experience in those overlap zones where they do not have the pattern control or adjustability that we do in those overlap regions. Poor listening experience, reduced intelligibility, and inconsistent frequency response for many listeners. Our solution was, of course, to minimize the interference between adjacent speakers and increase the intelligibility by doing so. Our beam forming provides control and the vertical and minimizes overlap of adjacent cabinets. We have the flexibility to modify coverage patterns without having to change out the physical loudspeaker in the vertical plane. So we can easily shape the coverage system to the seats of the minimum number of skews. We can offer line array-like coverage with fewer enclosures, less rigging, so there's a cost savings, and often require half as many systems than typical line array speaker systems, and achieve the same or better performance. We've got horizontal pattern control, most line array systems do not. We can make it even easier by supplying indoor bracketry. Just saves time, saves money for a designer, so we'll have you covered on the indoor rigging systems. We can make it easier than that. You can design systems quickly in Ease 4 and Focus 3 with one unified GLL that has all the cabinet and system configurations within a single file. Look for that to be posted soon. It's the same workflow as working with the line array as far as splaying the systems with based on our splay plates, and very, very easy design process to mix and match and quickly choose cabinet splay angles. Beam forming, the vertical beam forming, is created by addressing the mid and high section drivers independently. We're using our ALC systems to do this, as the FIRs are loaded into those. So each LVH is sold with two ALC models in order to achieve the vertical beam width control. So quick recap: large format, vertical beam forming, great performance in large venues, competes with line arrays and can be much more cost effective. We have our indoor brackets and all the other items you see there. We have the highest output amongst our direct competitors, at considerably lower distortion than all of them, I'm confident to say, especially in the all-important voice band. And we can do all of this with basically 2 SKUs and have a wide range of horn patterns available compared to the competitors who have all those other shortcomings that we have solved. And of course, there's an outdoor version. Indoors are black and white, outdoor gray, black and white. We can custom color them, polyglass enclosures like the I-Series, and third-party rigging is required for the outdoor suspension. It's not just for stadiums, large houses of worship, anywhere that can benefit from pattern control, high SPL, low distortion, auditoriums, indoor arenas. So be ready for it. We look forward to getting it out there and showing the world. All right, a couple minutes over. That was a really quick overview, folks. I'm gonna ask Francesca, for those of you that have time to hang out, if there are any questions we'd like to get to. And also right underneath my little questions thing there is a reminder of my email address if you would like to reach out to me over the next couple days.
So a couple of questions that came in, Dave, specific to E-Series, D-Series, and W-Series. Are they paintable? And what are the lead times if they are?
So the Entasis FR series are factory paintable. We can RAL color those for you. The Entasis 200s, they're black and white. We won't paint those at the factory, but they are PVC enclosures. So there's so many great paint for plastics out there these days. They're very easy for a customer to paint. We've even have some basic instructions in the manual for those. Lead times for a custom color Entasis FR system, it just depends. Give us a couple weeks between the color matching process and such at least.
Great. And then one specific to Entasis 212, can that be used for speech and video conferencing applications?
It absolutely can. Lends itself very well to that, especially mounted on the sides of, say, a larger monitor, maybe in a boardroom or a meeting space. It blends in seamlessly with its wide dispersion. Wonderful system for conferencing solutions. It has a nice modern look to it also.
Great. And then also, where are pendant speakers best suitable?
Pendant speakers are generally most suitable in places where there's no drop tile ceiling to cut holes in. You know, those higher open ceilings that it's an open deck and you've just got, steel webbing, up there to suspend speakers from. They can also be applicable for places that have very, very ornate ceilings. They might not want the look of a speaker, but if you need a speaker, you need a speaker, and it could be hung from an eye bolt strategically placed up between maybe some wood slats or something like that to provide the needed sound reinforcement in those architecturally sensitive environments. One of many ways to do it, but I'll usually use the pendants in more acoustically friendly spaces where the face of the pendant isn't higher than, say, 14 to 16 feet, depending on if it's background music or if you need high intelligibility for unfamiliar speech.
Excellent. We do have some other questions, but I think, they can email you, and we'll also be sharing this presentation with everybody as well with the recording. So we'll follow up on any additional questions that we weren't able to answer.
Right. Well, I really, appreciate it. I saw one more question here. What are the connections on the back of the LVH 900? We actually have a friction setting. The cut sheets for the LVH are available on the website. We have the spec sheets up. You can go see the details. but they are a friction fit connector on the back of it. You just snap the wires underneath it. I forget the brand name at the very moment. All right, well, thank you very much for taking your time worldwide, everybody. We appreciate you spending the time with us here at Biamp today. These trainings are very important and are really going to enable us to all hit the ground running when the current state of the world normalizes again. We're going to be in a wonderful position with our wide range of conferencing and solutions from the apart speaker lines, the community speaker lines, and the entire Biamp family as general. We're going to, taking the time to do this and become educated on these systems is really going to be beneficial. And please be on the lookout. There's going to be a wide range of webinars coming up from Biamp, and I encourage you to attend or grab the recordings of as many as possible so we can be ready to dominate this industry in the not too distant future. I'll leave my email address up on the screen. My name's Dave Howden. I thank you very much for joining us and look forward to being in touch with you as soon as you would like. Thank you.